Hey, what is up, YouTube boxing family? It is K right here. I'm back with another good video for y'all today. I wanted to make this video to talk about Claressa Shields' recent comments on Savannah Marshall, and I think honestly, it just makes all the like all the reasons for why I truly believe that Claressa Shields is the baddest woman on the planet. And she is definitely a problem for anybody that wishes to fight her. So, yeah, let's get right to it, man. So basically, Claressa, she was asked in a recent interview, I think it was through IFL TV, and she said that she is coming in there to knock out Savannah Marshall. And the only problem that I have with this is that Claressa, she's not that much of a knockout puncher because obviously, women fight in, well, I'm not sure if it's true, but like people tell me, like especially from female fighters, they say females fight in 8-ounce gloves, the same as men. But unless you are a heavyweight at 175 or above, I would assume that's where you start seeing women fight each other in 10-ounce gloves. But all the other weight classes wear 8-ounce gloves, which I'm not so sure if that's really like to be the case because granted, like don't get it twisted, like some females, they probably don't mind fighting in 8-ounce gloves, but I don't know if it's my vision of looking at some fights, but there's just some females out there that do kind of look like that they do prefer wearing 10-ounce gloves in some of their fights, but I very well could be wrong. Because, like, if that is like a universal thing where most women do wear the basic standard of 10-ounce gloves and fighting in 2-minute rounds, then I don't really see, the point of having females fight it like 2-minute rounds and they're not able to still get knockouts, with like the limited amount of time that they're not given in a fight. Because as much as I at one point thought that females were fighting in females were fighting in 10-ounce gloves instead of 8-ounce gloves, I was just thinking inside my mind that those ladies would be fighting in 10-ounce gloves, and they're just not able to hit hard enough to get somebody knocked down or to get someone knocked out. So the only problem that I had with that particular standard is that I wasn't really thinking that a lot of girls had the capability to actually knock a lot of females out. And for Claressa's case is that she is a hell of a good fighter, but I will be honest to say Miss Queen Shields, the GOAT number one over the other GOAT, Amanda Serrano, GOAT number two. Claressa is not known to be knocking girls out. And the thing is that Claressa, she has good, respectable power, I will say. But it is not to the point where it shocks you to say, wow, she's really just taking girls out. And, I don't see that out of her. Otherwise, my whole viewpoint on her power probably would have been a lot different if she had been able to stop, a lot of ladies, especially women like Franchon Cruz, which, she's a very, very big woman. Not to be disrespectful, but she definitely has like a good frame, of how much punch resistance she could take in an actual fight to make herself, invulnerable to hard shots. And Claressa's technique on how she throws punches is that she's throwing punches to keep you away from her. She's not throwing punches where she sits down a lot and she's trying to knock you out. And I don't think Claressa really ever thinks about that walking into a fight, because especially in the Hannah Gabriel fight, Hannah Gabriel, she saw those openings on Claressa very, easy, to the point where, she got touched up in multiple occasions in that fight. But when Hannah Gabriel tested her chin and she was able to drop her in that fight, I think that pretty much showed that Claressa, when she's being careless on the inside, in which she's definitely gotten way better as a, inside pocket fighter. She's that type of lady where she can take one to give one, but she usually doesn't do that too often. She for the most part focuses on boxing before she ever focuses on trying to go in there to knock you out. So the biggest issue that I have with her saying that she's gonna go in there and knock Savannah out is that Claressa definitely has a lot more pressure on her hands, because let's just say if this fight is going to happen in the UK, Claressa definitely needs to pull off a really good high-level action class performance to gain the respect through beating, Savannah Marshall in her hometown, because I don't see the judges trying to give Claressa a fair shake unless she is able to be given a fair decision. But Claressa cannot get knocked down. She can't even get hurt in certain X amount of rounds that will jeopardize her possibility of winning a decision. So I think honestly she'll do good, but she just needs to prioritize her situations of what she needs to do, and just make sure that she's just at that level of trying to, just be like, just basically stay disciplined and just move forward to, get the victory. See, now, do I believe that she can knock out Savannah? Yes, I do. I think Claressa, even though that she's not known to be a knockout puncher, she definitely has, the power and the style to prioritize a possible chance to knock out Savannah. But I just think based off of her particular style, she's going to focus more on boxing rather than trying to just go in there and try to knock, Savannah out. So I think how that fight will very well play out is just that Savannah, she's gonna try, anything out of her arsenal to try to make the fight dirty, because she is very similar to like a Josh Taylor in a way, where she has like a good style on the inside to try to like hit you with some good shots, but she's very slow with her shots, but she's very sluggish and very awkward. So she has like a really herky-jerky type of style that makes her very vulnerable to the point of her not being like that type of woman to actually handle the amount of pressure that's coming back to her. Because, even, for that one fight that she had with, who was that one lady? It was that Lolita Moisea fight. But Lolita, she was giving her some problems, and that fight pretty much proved that when you present any possible resistance back to Savannah usually ends up shelling up, and she doesn't really present any separation in her inside fighting game to make herself less susceptible of getting hit back. And she seems to be that type of person to get hit a lot, where she just allows people to just hit her back, and she doesn't really use any proper boxing fundamentals sorry, to keep herself at bay to win the fight. So I think what needs to happen with Claressa is that she definitely needs to be careful with Savannah's awkward style, and definitely watch out for those counters, and definitely just try to move around the ring more. Don't sit inside the pocket with Savannah, because I think that's what Savannah wants, to do in the first place, because she thinks that she's like the bigger woman, and she has more success with just trying to just dog walk Claressa. And I like personally for me, I don't think Claressa will have too much of a problem against Savannah, because people think Savannah's going to beat her, and that's fine, because people don't understand boxing enough, and for even fighters that truly believe that, think Claressa hasn't been tested, and she's not that good of a fighter, and she she needs to be tested by like a girl like Savannah, knowing that Savannah, she hasn't done anything credible in her career other than just win a belt off of Hannah Rankin, for a vacant title, if I'm not mistaken. But still, Savannah Marshall, hasn't really beat anybody notable in her division. So I just think, like, all this talk that people saying like, oh, Claressa, she's going to get smashed and Savannah's going to do this and blah, blah, blah. These are the same people that will say the same thing towards Amanda Serrano, saying like, oh, well, she can't box and blah, blah, blah. She's not that good. She fights girls that are smaller than her, and Katie, she's going to dog walk her, blah, blah, blah. She's a bigger lady. And I'm like, no, she's not. Like, if anything, Katie, she probably looks a little bit bigger, but not even close to like the, physique as Amanda Serrano. But I personally believe Amanda Serrano will just smoke her, and she'll beat the living crap out of her. But either way, that the fight itself will just prove that Amanda Serrano, she has more dog and more dexterity than Katie Taylor will ever have in that fight. But we will find out on my birthday on April 30th, along with Shakur and Valdez. But with Claressa and Savannah, is that this fight is very interesting to the point where Claressa and Savannah have a very, very high ceiling of how much grit that they show in the ring. And I think Claressa, she's definitely gonna come out there swinging, and she's definitely gonna want to get her shots in. But I would definitely keep away from from the inside pocket, because Savannah, she does have like a tendency to try to nudge her shoulders in to try to make you feel like that you have like some form of success with her. But I just feel like at the end of the day, Savannah will try anything and everything in her power to try to win, and she will try to be as dirty as she can to get away with any cheap blows that she could throw at Claressa, because Claressa has been in those situations where she has been cut here and there, but it hasn't been anything bad to the point where Claressa has suffered any bad dirty boxing tactical injuries. So I don't think Claressa will go through that, but hopefully she could, she knows what's going to be put at hand with the amount of dirty inside fighting tactics that Savannah will try to present to her. And I just think how everything will, quantify itself is that Claressa will try to do her best to box, but if Savannah tries to go in there trying to swing, trying to find those wild shots that could possibly land, then I think Claressa will outbox her and probably just outpoint her. But as far as trying to knock out Savannah, it's very, very possible. But I personally would not want to be advocating for that. If you're not going to be able to solidify enough power for that. And like I said, like I believe that Claressa is very capable to do it because she does have good punch placement, and Savannah has never been, she's never been in the ring with a fighter like Claressa. So if Claressa is just outboxing her bad to the point where, Savannah, she can't land like a single punch and she's getting dominated every single round, then I think that's how, that fight will play out. Savannah's going to quit in the corner, or she's going to get beat up bad to the point where Claressa will probably force a corner stoppage. And I just don't see how Savannah could ever get knocked out because there hasn't really been like a fight with Savannah really getting hurt. And I don't think Matchroom has really done good promotional matchmaking for her career to actually determine if she's going to be that good of a fighter to handle somebody that actually knows how to punch and knows how to put her down. Because looking at the division, I mean Savannah's only toughest fight that she's really been in, I mean, would probably have to just be like, honestly, like I don't even know. I think honestly, like every single fight that she's been in was all politically set up for her to just win, because all the women that she's been in the ring with were just not that good. I mean, yeah, you fought Hannah Rankin, and credit to you, and credit to Hannah for becoming a world champion once again. But it's like Hannah hasn't done anything special, and she has done what she had to do. But at the end of the day, it's like she hasn't really done anything. She did what she had to do against Claressa and Savannah, and she lost two of those biggest fights. But I guess what the difference is that Hannah Rankin, she's more of a pure boxer, and Claressa, she just had like the better pure boxing skills to just outpoint her. But with Savannah, she stops her because Hannah, she can't handle, well, she's never really fought anybody with punching power leading up to Savannah, and Savannah was able to just outdog her with punches that Hannah wasn't educated enough to get away from. But it's not like Savannah has amazing punching power, because her punching power is very fixed to the point where every single knockout that you've seen was against basically basically women that don't have good records. And the women that she really fought that ever went the distance, like Yanina or Roscoe, she was undefeated. She hasn't really done anything special ever since that loss. But I mean, she she just basically stopped boxing like a year after the Savannah Marshall loss. But ever since then, she hasn't been back, in the ring. And the other fight, Sydney LeBlanc, she's a decent, credible fighter, but she's nothing special. But she went the full distance with Sydney in her professional debut. That that wasn't interesting. But all the other fights that she's had was against women with losing records, or basically against females that no one has ever heard of. especially like like females like Danielle Bastieri, a middleweight Brazilian female fighter. She just recently got knocked out by Christina Hammer back in December, in which honestly, I don't understand why Savannah has ever decided to challenge her because honestly, if we're gonna be honest, like Christina Hammer, before Claressa had, defeated her, she was basically like the Vladimir Klitschko out of that, entire division. Because if you think about it, her very first title fight was against whatchamacallit, Teresa Perozzi. She beat her. That was to a unanimous decision. That was for the WBO female middleweight title back in 2010. Then after that, she then picked up the WBF female middleweight title against Diana Kiss. She retired her in the seventh round in the through a corner stoppage. So, yep, she beat her. She beat Maria Lindenberg, in which Maria, she was good back in the day, but the older version of her is not that good. But the younger version of her, she beat her. She won the WBO once again. I guess she wasn't able to defend it at that point back in October instead of instead of trying to regain it back in May of that 2011 year. But I mean, either way, she picked up that belt again, and then after that, she defended it against Vashan Living. Don't really know too much about that lady. Yep, she's just 6-3. One KO, one loss by KO defeat. That was by the hands of Crystal Davis. I don't even know who that lady is, but yeah, I mean, either way, credit to her, for fighting Christina. But Christina, she went on to beat her, and then she beat, some no-name ladies that no one never really heard of. But leading up to that, well, actually, yeah, Yahaira Hernandez, she was decent. She wasn't, like the best fighter, but, that was a good win. Like I've, heard certain things about her, but, great wins like, Michaela Moore, fighters like, Michaela Lauren, that's that Swedish chick, who's still fighting, surprisingly, but she beat her in one of her title defenses. I mean, she, she's made, multiple successful title defenses, but, back in this era, in her time frame, she was just racking up wins, and she was just moving on. But she beat Carmen Garcia Toscano. She beat who else? I mean, Carmen wasn't that good, but Jessica Balagoon, she was a very, very good fighter back in her day. They called her the Hammer or Sugar J. Yeah, she's been in there with everybody. But she was a former world champion. She held the GBU female world welterweight title, the women's IBA title. That's the WIBA, but I just call it the IBA title. But yeah, I mean, she hasn't really had too much of her career built off of anything, but her biggest fights were mainly just losses to Cecilia Brækhus twice and Christina Hammer. And yeah, I mean, she definitely is a good fighter. She earned her stripes in boxing, and she did what she had to do. But major credits to her. But yeah, she beat her. She beat Ann Sophia Mathis. That was a white lady that knocked out Holly Holm in the past. That was good. A very, very good fight. Well, actually, no, that was a no contest. But moving forward to that, she beat Kaylee Reese, in which that was a very close fight. I don't know how that was a unanimous decision, but actually, yeah, she beat her twice because she gave her like a rematch. So that's actually very interesting. But yeah, That's very interesting. Oh wait, actually, yeah, Kaylee Reese, she probably won the WBC title at that time too. Because when she did lose twice to Christina, she probably picked up, or actually no, that probably was for the vacant WBC title because right here it showed from that time frame leading up to the rematch. Yeah. Oh wait, actually no. She beat yeah, Kaylee Reese beat Marciela Cornejo, and that was back in April 16th in 2016. And then moving forward, she had like she had a non-title fight with Althea Saunders, and that was a 8 rounder, but that wasn't for a belt because I guess she fought her at a catch weight, so that wasn't at at the middleweight division. So then after that she then unified with Christina, and then that's where she lost twice. But yeah, that's a really good win because Kaylee Reese, she's a very, very good fighter, and she's still a current champion right now. She had like a really good, well, she had a controversial split decision win over Jessica Camara, in which that was a very difficult, hard fight. And I believe she's going to fight for undisputed against Chantel Cameron, hopefully, if everything goes well. But yeah, I mean, that's good wins. I mean, at this point in time, this was like when she was like, at the top of her, division. But yeah, Christina Hammer has gotten some really, really good wins under her belt. And ever since the Claressa loss, in which that was like for all the belts, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that was for the WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO. Yeah, that was for undisputed that nobody ever talked about, in which I definitely need to make a video on that. Um, yeah, so yeah, I mean, honestly, Claressa, her resume is very, very stacked, but Savannah should have fought, Christina Hammer. I don't see why this fight wasn't made because Matchroom could have easily, hit her up and definitely made that fight because it's not like, Savannah wouldn't have fought her. It's just that, the problem is just that, nobody never wanted to really call for that fight and actually, have that fight made. So, I actually give a lot of credit to Claressa for fighting a woman in Christina Hammer because that's something that Savannah Marshall would have never done. To fight a woman that was reigning the division for a very, very long time. So, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, Savannah Marshall, she has a lot to prove, under her belt, but at the end of the day, this is mainly a fight where Claressa, she has a lot to back up in that fight, and she's probably gonna train extremely hard to try to beat Savannah up, very bad. But I truly believe that this fight will definitely go the distance, and I don't see how I don't see how Savannah will ever show any means of breaking down in the fight to be stopped. But I mean, if the fight ever goes that path where somebody could end up getting knocked out, I think Savannah would get knocked out late, but I don't see that fight ever going to the level of where Savannah's just going to break down to Claressa's pressure. It's going to be a shot where Savannah never saw it coming, and then Claressa, she'll drop her, or she'll, definitely get her hurt and wobbled, and I think Claressa will have the ability to stop her. But just don't expect Claressa to just basically like let Savannah hit her and she's going to get hurt to the point where she's going to get knocked out. No, I personally don't believe in that, and I think Claressa, she'll make this fight very difficult for Savannah to the point where Savannah can't really keep up with her. And I think Claressa is going to just beat her to the punch. And Savannah, she's going to get hit with a lot of hard punches where Claressa's going to sit down on them and definitely try to, stop her. And I think that interview that she had with IFL pretty much explained everything that I'm explaining now, where Claressa's not going to play any games, leading up to that fight. That's if Savannah is successful against Femke Hermans, because Femke, even though she doesn't have like the best resume out there, but she's not going to allow a huge opportunity be put to waste. And I think especially at the world title level, you have a lot to prove, on your plate to show everyone why you are who you are. And I think, if Savannah would be able to stop Femke, then that'll speak a lot of volume to show that the fighters that Claressa wasn't able to stop, that just shows that, the fight itself is a pure 50-50 matchup. Well, actually, like, I personally wouldn't say 50-50. I would say 55-45, but Savannah would have a good slim chance of having a possibility to defeat Claressa, but it's not going to be a one-sided victory. It's going to be that one punch where she's going to be praying that she hopes that punch can be landed, and that's only if she's able to, to actually catch Claressa lacking in the fight itself to make herself successful to land those shots. But I just think how the fight will go is just that Claressa's just too gifted of a boxer to let those skills be put to waste in a fight, and she's not going to allow Savannah to hit her a lot, in the fight itself. So I just think that how the fight will play out is just that Savannah is going to try so hard to try to land that big power punch that she wants to hit onto Claressa, and Claressa, she's going to make her look really, really bad to the point where she'll end up basically winning the exchanges, very well. So I don't know. I think how the fight just plays out is just that Claressa, she's going to be a very, very bad style matchup for Savannah. And I mean, if she does knock out Savannah, that's going to be a very interesting battle of how she knocks her out. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you think Claressa Shields has the ability to knock out Savannah Marshall? And if not, explain why. And for any detractors, explain your case of why you think Savannah will knock out Claressa. So, I'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Peace out and goodbye.